I realized that being a Canadian in a American university system and it's funny. I've been here for so long. I've been here for like I don't know, 10 years, and you almost always feel like an outsider, right? And I don't know if this is traditionally um, always the case if you are an immigrant um, where you just always feel like an outsider. And there's like so many different terms and ideas that don't resonate with me. Like I kind of thought I understood, how all of the sort of university system works, but I just think that there's really, um, different norms. I think it's a bigger thing in terms of how I sort of see the world, and I think that there is some really striking, and I think that's the bigger difference is that I see is not necessarily like I mean, there's lots of sort of little minor things that I'm like, oh, what is that thing? I don't even know what that thing is, and it pops up, and because that doesn't exist, right? Like in the sort of Canadian context, like the idea of was it historically African American colleges that doesn't exist in the Canadian context. I didn't even really know that that exists. The whole football system and Division 1 and ACC and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, frankly, I don't. I it's not really been something that I really care about. It's not necessarily sort of part of my cultural upbringing. Um, and that's not something I really even hockey or whatnot is not necessarily a big thing to me, but that was really big sort of culturally in my town. My family is just not into that, and I think that's pretty normal in more normal in the Canadian context, just to not have people that are into like sports and in this sort of same armchair sort of fan, right? Like I do a lot of sports, or I'm very active, but extremely active compared to the vast majority of the people my age. But you know, um, I just don't. I'm not sort of culturally part of a lot of that stuff, and there's just like so many things where you feel like an outsider. Um, and as much as you want to be part of that, it's just hard to be part of it. It's hard to sort of have any contextual understanding of it. And you know the 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 challenges I'm sort of balancing two two lives, I guess, and of being you know me as a who I am as a person, right? The sort of identity of being me as a Canadian, and then living in a foreign place. It's such a really strange thing, and I imagine even if I was to move back, I'd probably still feel like an outsider now, right? That's the sort of puzzling nature of being an immigrant, um, particularly in the academic system, because it's like there the you don't necessarily build bonds, like it's just not my experience, right? And I don't think I'm really all that different from a large number of people. It might seem like there's all this sort of discussion of what it means, that you have to sort of build these sort of strong bonds and all that kind of stuff, like co-author bonds and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, the reality is it just doesn't exist, at least in my sort of field as much. Um, and all of this is just really challenging. I just want to sort of put that out as like, um, I always feel like an outsider, always do, and I don't know how to. change that, right? Like I don't know if there's an easy way to change that in any sort of way. But I think it's always going to be the case. So if this is you, just know it's likely the case, right? You're likely always going to be an outsider, and sort of not have the resources, I guess, the sort of established cultural understanding of the majority if you move to another country. All right, so take care and have a wonderful day.